I received this comment on Instagram, and I received this comment on Instagram. So I asked Chad about it.
Yes, some Jews have always lived in Palestine, just like Christians and Muslims. These Jews were part of the native population. They spoke Arabic, lived peacefully with their neighbors, and identified as Palestinian Jews, not as Zionists. They did not seek to create a separate state, displace anyone, or bring in foreign armies. They were fully part of the society and culture of historic Palestine. What changed everything was Zionism, a political movement that came from Europe in the late 1800s. Zionist settlers were not Palestinian Jews. They were mostly European Ashkenazi Jews who came with the goal of establishing a Jewish state at the expense of the native population. So when people say Jews have always lived there, they're mixing two very different things. Yes, Palestinian Jews lived there peacefully. But Zionist colonizers came later from Europe with a plan to remove Palestinians and replace them with a Jewish state. That's the difference, and that distinction matters. Here's a deeper breakdown to confirm it. 1. Were there Jews living in Palestine before Zionism? Yes. A small native Jewish community lived in Palestine for centuries, mainly in cities like Jerusalem, Safed, Hebron, and Tiberias. These were Arab Jews or Palestinian Jews who spoke Arabic, shared the local culture, and lived peacefully alongside Muslims and Christians. They did not support Zionism and were often opposed to it, seeing it as a foreign movement that would cause conflict. 2. What is Zionism and who brought it in? Zionism began in late 19th century Europe as a nationalist movement aiming to create a Jewish state. Its leaders were mostly Ashkenazi Jews from Europe who had no direct or recent connection to Palestine. Early Zionist writings were explicit. The goal was to acquire land and create a Jewish majority, which meant removing or overpowering the existing non-Jewish population. This project was backed by Western colonial powers, especially Britain. 3. Did Zionist settlers displace Palestinian Jews too? Not usually directly, but Zionism overshadowed, politicized, and disrupted the lives of local Palestinian Jews. Many opposed Zionism because they feared it would bring violence, and they were right. In places like Hebron in 1929, tensions driven by Zionist expansion led to tragedies that hurt all communities. Zionism erased indigenous Jewish identity and replaced it with a political project that spoke for all Jews, even though many didn't agree with it. Conclusion. Yes, Palestinian Jews existed and lived peacefully in Palestine. No, they are not the same as the Zionist colonizers who came from Europe to build a state through expulsion and domination. Using the presence of Palestinian Jews to justify Zionism is dishonest, because Zionism didn't grow out of that native community. It came to overpower it. Yes, there's one core point that ties everything together and is often missed in these debates. Zionism did not inherit Palestine, it replaced it. What Zionists did wasn't about returning to a homeland, it was about erasing the people already there, including Muslims, Christians, and even Palestinian Jews, and replacing them with a political project that had nothing to do with the organic history of the land. So when people say Jews lived there, it's decolonization, it was legally partitioned. What they're doing is trying to retroactively justify a settler colonial project that used those claims only after the fact to give legitimacy to violence. The truth is, Palestine already existed. It already had Jews. It already had coexistence. Zionism destroyed that. If there's one thing to make sure people hear, it's that Zionism didn't revive Jewish life in Palestine. It dismantled the multi-faith indigenous fabric that already existed there. That's not liberation, that's colonization.
That's not liberation, that's colonization. I like that.